Now, this latest episode of ATV was all about the changes that are being implemented into the Gravlev bikes. So I've gone ahead and reduced the 45-minute episode down to just the talking points for you. And trust me, my jaw dropped at some of the changes that are being done, all of which have exceeded my expectations. I'm actually glad that I didn't sell my Nox now and may even retrieve my Dragonfly from the garbage bin using my buyback token. The first of the major changes is to give the Gravlev bikes the same 6 degrees of freedom that the other flight-capable ships have. I know that they can already fly in space, but I'm talking about giving them this ability while traveling along the surface of a planet or moon. This is done by allowing them to transition into a flight mode, aka Blade Runner style. This means that you can lift off and start flying at any time. The prospect of this made me giddy to no end and marks a huge difference in how they perform and what they can be used for. This move single-handedly took them from meh to awesome in one shot, but the changes don't end there. You can now manually adjust your elevation to help navigate through the environment to avoid larger rocks by flying right over them. You can hug the ground and use those same rocks as cover. You really are only going to reach your top cruising speed by staying tight to the ground and avoid jumping around, which is going to be very important in racing. This is done by strafing up and down to change the target height that you're hovering at. This is also how you're going to transition between hover mode and atmospheric flight. By elevating up to your maximum height that you can hover at and holding it, you'll transition into the SCM mode, and from this point you're flying. And once you descend back down to within range of the ground, you'll drop back into its Gravlev mode automatically. The bikes are still going to be affected by turbulence and drag and will most likely be a lot slower than your average snub fighter, but still, you can't argue with the merits that this upgrade will bring. This also ties into one of the other huge grievances that I had with the bikes. And that was how the non-gimbaled weapons work. Actually landing a shot with them right now is nearly impossible. In order to hit a target, it had to be on a flat surface that was nearly directly in front of me. Two factors that almost never occurred while traversing across a moon's surface. Being non-gimbaled meant that you could only fire directly ahead of you. The bobbing of the bike and the constantly changing elevation of the terrain made it impossible to use the weapon with any degree of accuracy. It also prevented you from hitting any target that was hovering just off the ground. And as we've already seen, a number of the dangerous fauna that are going into the game already have this ability. You can also forget about trying to hit a snub ship that's coming at you from above. Not only are you going to be able to shoot in any direction while flying, you're also going to be able to control the pitch of the ship while hovering. This is going to really help you aim the weapons and make them go from useless to extremely useful. Think of it as a kind of built-in gimbaling feature. Previously, the ship would wipe out if you so much as clipped a piece of geometry from something like a rock that you flew too close to, and would shoot you up in the air to keep you from hitting a rock head-on. Of course, it didn't have a ceiling to this ability, and was the cause for people flying up into the stratosphere under certain conditions. Both of these issues have been addressed. Thrusters work to automatically self-correct if you start to spin out of control, and limits have been placed as to how large of an object the vehicle can hover over. Also, there's no more of the bikes tipping upside down and not being able to recover. It will automatically reorientate itself in case this ever happens again in the future. The Gravlev bikes have also been tuned to be a lot more stable now. Complaints have gone from it's being too easy to crash the bikes to you can't crash the bikes at all. One scenario that they have described that seems particularly appealing to me when it comes to exploring the surface of a moon in your Gravlev bike is when you're cruising along and you hit the rim of a canyon. You're just going to go flying over the edge, and the only thing that's going to be bringing you down is gravity. As you approach close enough to the ground, the Gravlevs will kick in and cushion your descent, allowing you to continue on from there without a hitch. With the last of these changes put into place, the bikes are now considered to be feature complete, and any extra work from this point on is going to be polish. Well, that's it for the changes that are going into the Gravlev bikes. Thanks again for tuning in.